Leaders of South Korea, China, and Japan adopted a joint statement agreeing to restore trilateral cooperation and try to resume six-way nuclear talks. U.S. Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter visited South Korea to attend the annual bilateral security consultative meeting in Seoul and visited the DMZ. And special events, including a concert, were held at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris to mark the body's 70th anniversary. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, November 2nd. I'm Luke Clary. Leaders of South Korea, China, and Japan adopted a joint statement for the first time in 3.5 years and agreed to restore trilateral cooperation. They also denounced North Korea's nuclear program and decided to work together toward the resumption of the six-way nuclear talks.
President Park Geun-hye, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe held a trilateral summit for the first time in 3.5 years. The three heads of state adopted a joint statement on cooperation in 5 sectors, such as economic cooperation in the form of free trade pacts and cooperation on establishing peace in Northeast Asia. The three leaders also denounced North Korea's nuclear weapons and reiterated their support for denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula.
의미 있는 육자 회담의 조속한 재개를 위해 함께 노력해 나가기로 하였습니다.
3カ国で連携して北朝鮮に強く促していくことを首脳レベルで確認できたことは大きな成果であります。
Chinese Premier Li Keqiang also clarified his support for promoting peace, but he also indirectly criticized Tokyo by mentioning the 70th anniversary of Chinese victory in the World Anti-Fascist War.
战争是人类智慧的失败。 和平才是人间正道。
The presidential office said that at summit, the three heads of state did not mention the issue of the territorial dispute between China and the U.S. in the South China Sea, nor did they discuss any contentious issues.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter visited South Korea to attend the annual Bilateral Security Consultative Meeting, or SCM, in Seoul. And during a visit to the demilitarized zone, the U.S. Defense Secretary stressed the need to resolve the North Korean nuclear issue through a stronger South Korea-U.S. alliance and the six-way talks. South Korean and U.S. defense chiefs visited the joint security area at the truce village of Panmunjom. During a visit to an observatory a kilometer away from a North Korean guard post, they received a briefing on the military state of preparedness and offered words of encouragement to the soldiers. In a meeting with reporters, U.S. Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter stressed the importance of a solid South Korea-U.S. alliance.
Being here shows you up close just how dangerous this part of the world is. And that's why our alliance is ironclad and strong.
Noting that the North is unlikely to give up its nuclear program for the time being, Carter vowed to continue pursuing six-party talks for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
We continue so-called six-party talks to call for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for South Korea and the U.S. held a separate military committee meeting to check on the two countries' joint defense preparedness against North Korean provocations. This year marks the 70th anniversary of UNESCO's founding. A poetry reading event and concert were held at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris to mark the anniversary.
The Outcry for Peace by Korean poet Koen resonates at the event hall. Ko's poetry reading, themed after peace and life, sounded like music. when the poet sang the Korean folk song Arirang about the pain of the Korean nation, the audience went silent. After the poetry reading event, pianist Yang Bang-on performed Korean traditional melodies and contemporary compositions. The poetry reading event and the concert, both dedicated to peace, were held to mark the 70th anniversary of UNESCO's founding and the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule.
Through this poetry reading evening today, we hope to share Koreans' desire and aspiration for building peace with all the people in the world.
The events once again demonstrated to the world Korea's transformation from an impoverished country that received help from other nations after the Korean War into one of the world's largest economies that now helps other countries.
The autumn foliage has reached its peak at Mount Songni with the early arrival of the cold. Hikers enjoyed the fall colors and the short, crisp season to the fullest. Here are some scenes from the colorful autumn mountain.
Mount Songni is dressed up in a wide variety of colors. It looks as if the mountain has been painted with watercolors, from a grass plaza lined with pine forests to the top of the faraway Chunwang Peak. Colorful trees captivate the eyes of visitors. A small maple tree boasts its red leaves at the end of a path lined with huge red pines and oriental oaks, hundreds of years old. Hikers enjoy the seasonal atmosphere of the late fall amid the autumn foliage, now in its peak.
지난주까지 미세먼지 때문에 단풍을 못 봤는데 근데 오늘 송리산에 와보니 노랗고 빨간색이 너무 좋아요.
A crystal clear stream and the flame grass surrounding it create a picturesque atmosphere. Renowned Joseon-era scholar Uam Song-si-yeol lived in a small house called Amseoje after retiring from the secular world. The 300-year-old structure has once again been surrounded by browning autumn foliage. Breathtaking views have covered Mount Songni as the leaves change color in the late fall season.
2 more Asiatic black bear cubs were released to the Jirisan National Park. The project to preserve the species seems to be producing positive results.
These 2 Asiatic black bear cubs were born early this year. Their mother failed to adapt to the wild and was brought back to the shelter. The cubs drink their mother's milk and play with each other. Unlike their mother, the cubs are very active and can easily climb trees. They have clear, moon-shaped patterns on their chests. The cubs feed on chestnuts and acorns. Wherever they go, they're always together. Sometimes they get into fights, but they make peace in no time. They have also received training to avoid humans. The Korean National Park Service decided to release the cubs into the wild because they seem to have adapted well to the natural environment during a 10-month training period. From now on, the cubs will live in a natural habitat. Currently, 38 Asiatic black bears live on Mount Jiri.
2020년까지 1차 목표인 50마리의 서식 목표는 무난히 달성될 것으로 예상되고
The Korean National Park Service tagged the cubs with GPS devices to trace their locations and check if they're doing well in the wild.
Winter migratory birds have again visited South Korea to pass the winter. Among them are rare birds like white-naped cranes and white-fronted geese. Here are some scenes from the Cheolwon field where the winter guests are staying.
The fall sky is dotted with gliding flocks of migrating birds. White-naped cranes, designated Natural Monument number 203, visit the Cheolwon fields around this time every year. Preparing for the coming cold, the winter visitors forage for grain at the harvested rice fields. Chicks with brownish backs stay close to their mothers in the unfamiliar environment.
안전하고 먹이 풍부하고 그래서 철원을 그 월동지와 이지미로 가는 기착지로다가 얘네들이 선택하지 않았나 싶어요.
Approximately 2,000 white-naped cranes have arrived at the Cheolwon field since mid-October. Some 200,000 white-fronted geese have also visited Cheolwon. Located inside the civilian control line, the Cheolwon fields are a favorable site for winter migratory birds to pass the winter in clean surroundings, with few predators, rare human access, and ample food. The winter migratory birds will move to Japan around mid-November before returning to Cheolwon in March next year as a stopover on their way to Siberia.
Instrumentalists don't just play with their hands. The role of the feet is also significant. Let's find out more about the importance of feet in the world of performance.
The fingers flow across the keyboard, creating beautiful music. When the music hits the climax, the foot stepping on the pedal also gets busy. 15 steps in just 10 seconds. The foot moves as busily as the hands.
손을 잘 놀리는 것도 참 중요하지만요. 그와 함께 페달을 얼만큼 잘하느냐에 따라서 그날의 연주의 성패가 달려있다고 해도 과언이 아닙니다.
The harp is known for producing a mystical, heavenly sound. Behind the elegant moves of the hands is the less visible movement of the foot. A harp has a total of 7 pedals. Like the blank keys of a piano, they each produce the semitone of the notes of the major scale. The timpani is the only percussion instrument that can change pitches. It's also a representative foot instrument. They're not as visible, but the feet play a key role in completing and perfecting instrumental performances.
Singer Lee Moon-se has published a Christmas card in support of elderly victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery. Profits from the card's on- and offline sale will all be delivered to the Comfort Women facility, the House of Sharing.
Singer Lee Moon-se has produced a Christmas card to support elderly victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery. The card includes a message written by Lee and pictures drawn by illustrators who donated their talent for the cause. Profits from the card's on- and offline sales will be delivered to the House of Sharing, a facility supporting the Comfort Women. K-pop boy band 17, which debuted just 5 months ago, has been included on Billboard's 21 Under 21 list for this year. 17 is the only Asian artist on the Billboard.com list that selects 21 notable artists under the age of 21. Ki-sup of the boy band U-Kiss has been cast to play the lead role in the Japanese performance of the Korean musical Caffeine. Ki-sup's management agency announced that he has been cast in the lead role of sommelier Jimin for the Tokyo run of the musical to be staged in January. Caffeine is a musical created in Korea about the romance between a coffee barista and a wine sommelier. It will debut in Japan next year.
It may come as a surprise to learn that your belly button is connected to various organs of the body, and it's therefore a key to your health. If there's a problem, the area near the navel often stiffens. In this case, massaging can help ease the pain. Here's a look. The belly button is located right at the center of the body. In the ancient medical book Dongi Bogam, or the Principles and Practice of Eastern Medicine, the navel is called a lifeline and is significantly regarded.
배꼽은 인체의 전기가 출입하는 곳이라고 알려져 있는데요. 복막을 통해서 내장기관이 전부 연결되어 있고 그래서 내장기관의 움직임이나 혈액순환을 조절하는 역할을 합니다.
If there's a problem in the body, the area near the belly button oftentimes stiffens.
신체 어딘가에 통증이 발생했다는 것은 수축이 발생했다는 것을 의미합니다. 수축이 발생하게 되면 인체의 중심인 배꼽의 균형도 깨져 있으므로 배꼽에서 반응점을 찾아 통증을 해결하는 것입니다.
The right part of the navel is viewed as representing the right half of the body and the left part, the left side. The same goes with our lower right side of the body and lower left side of the body with the belly button as the reference point. When massaging the navel, it's important to exactly identify the aching spot. Place your thumb on the belly button and press and push from inside to out. The area where you feel more pain is the massaging point. This woman in her 20s suffers from severe pain on her right ankle. For a diagnosis, both her ankles are pressed. We can see her aching right ankle is pressed less than the right side because her muscles have contracted. Now you locate the response point in the navel area that's connected to the right ankle and massage there. Also practice exercise movements that stimulate the arm and leg muscles on the same side of the massage point.
많이 발목이 부드러워진 것 같고 풀린 것 같고 좀 느껴져서 시원하고 신기해요.
After a massage, the right ankle muscle has eased and we can see the feet are more symmetrical. With a simple massage of the belly button, ease any physical pain and restore your health. Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.